stop, just for a moment. I need you to pause. Are you tired? Tired of the endless struggle, the constant disappointment, the feeling that you're stuck in a nightmare you can't wake up from? Do you feel that gnawing emptiness inside, that whisper telling you, is this all there is? Listen to me carefully, because if you've ever felt like your life is a broken record, playing the same painful song on repeat, then what I'm about to reveal will not just change your life, it will explode your understanding of reality itself. You've been lied to. You've been fed platitudes and empty promises. But today, right now, that ends. I'm not here to offer you a quick fix. I'm here to expose a shocking secret so profound, so utterly simple, that it will revolutionize your entire existence. This isn't just about feeling better. This is about tearing down the walls of suffering, annihilating self-doubt, and unleashing a power within you that you never dared to dream existed. Millions have tried countless methods, but they've missed this. The one thing that truly works. The one revelation that separates those who merely exist from those who thrive. If you're ready to erase your suffering, to dominate your destiny, and to finally claim the life of absolute freedom you were born for, then brace yourself, because this is the moment your life changes. Forever. If you're still here, it means you're not afraid to confront the raw, unvarnished truth. It means you're done with the lies, the half-truths, and the endless cycles of disappointment. You're ready to stop suffering now. I promised you a shocking secret that would change everything, and I intend to deliver. But first, we need to understand why you've been suffering. Why have all your efforts, all your good intentions, all your desperate attempts to break free, seemingly failed? You see, for too long, you've been looking for the problem outside yourself. You've blamed circumstances, other people, the economy, your past, your luck. You've thought, if only I had more money, if only I were in a different job, if only that relationship had worked out, if only I were smarter, thinner, richer. And while those things might seem like the cause of your misery, they are merely symptoms. They are the visible manifestations of an invisible force pulling the strings of your life, an unseen enemy that has dictated your failures, amplified your fears, and chained you to a life far less than you deserve. This is the first layer of the shocking secret. Your suffering isn't caused by what's happening to you. It's caused by the invisible, unexamined, and often destructive standards you've unconsciously set for yourself. Think of it like this. Your mind isn't just a brain. It's a supercomputer. A magnificent, powerful machine designed to bring your desires into reality. But every computer runs on software, an operating system. And for most of you, that operating system, those fundamental standards, were programmed years ago, often without your consent or even your awareness. They were installed by your parents, your teachers, your peers, society, the media, a chaotic, often flawed collection of beliefs about what's possible, what's acceptable, and what you're truly worth. These aren't just beliefs, they are commands. They are the non-negotiable rules you've set for your life, the invisible lines in the sand that you absolutely will not cross, or conversely, the absolute minimums you will accept. And here's the most terrifying part. Your life will never rise above your unconscious standards. You can dream bigger, wish harder, work smarter, but if your internal operating system is set to a low standard, it will constantly sabotage your efforts, pull you back down, and ensure you never truly escape the gravity of your past. It's like trying to run the latest, most powerful software on a 1990s computer. It just won't compute. Let me give you a chilling example. Meet Sarah. Sarah dreams of being a successful entrepreneur, of having financial freedom. She works tirelessly, reads all the books, goes to all the seminars. But time and again, just as she's on the cusp of a breakthrough, something goes wrong. A deal falls through, a client backs out, she makes a critical error. She blames bad luck, the universe, or simply not being smart enough. But the truth? Sarah has an unconscious standard that says, I can earn some money, enough to be comfortable, but true wealth is for other people. I'm not worthy of that level of success. And because that's her standard, her subconscious mind, the powerful engine driving 95% of her actions, creates situations to keep her within that comfort zone, within that standard of comfortable, but not truly wealthy. It's not bad luck, it's her internal program running perfectly, or consider Mark. Mark desperately wants a loving, fulfilling relationship. He tries online dating, meets new people, puts himself out there. But every relationship he gets into, after an initial spark, devolves into conflict, manipulation, or emotional distance. He constantly attracts partners who drain him, disrespect him, or leave him. Why? Because Mark's unconscious standard, forged in childhood trauma, says, I am only worthy of conditional love. Love is pain. If I get too close, I will be hurt. And so, his powerful internal operating system ensures he either pushes away healthy love or attracts partners who perfectly align with his suffering standard. He's not unlucky in love, he's perfectly fulfilling his internal programming. This isn't about blaming yourself. This is about waking up to the invisible chains. For years, you've been operating on default settings, settings that were never chosen by the powerful, magnificent adult you are today. These standards dictate everything: your financial ceiling, how much money you believe you can earn and deserve to keep, your relationship quality, the level of respect, love, and emotional connection you demand, or don't demand, from others, your health and energy, the baseline level of vitality and well-being you accept as normal, your self-worth, the core belief about your value and capabilities, your level of happiness, the amount of joy and fulfillment you allow yourself to experience. Consistently, think about it. Have you ever hit a certain level of success, only to subconsciously pull back? Made some money, only to have unexpected expenses eat it up? Started a new habit, only to revert to old patterns? That's your operating system, your standards, kicking in, ensuring you stay within its programmed parameters. It's designed for predictability, not for growth. And if your default standard is, suffering is normal, then your life will inevitably gravitate back to that state. The most insidious part of this secret is that these standards operate subconsciously. You don't consciously decide, I will be stuck at this income level. You don't say, I will accept disrespectful behavior in my relationships. But those are the invisible rules governing your actions, choices, and ultimately, your reality. They are the prison bars you built around yourself, brick by painful brick, without ever realizing you were the architect. But here's the hope. Here's the breakthrough. If these standards were programmed, they can be deprogrammed. If they were installed, they can be uninstalled and replaced with powerful, life-affirming, success-driving standards that will catapult you into the life you deserve. This isn't just theory, this is the master key that has unlocked countless lives. The first step, the truly shocking part, is to realize that you have these standards, and that they are the true cause of your suffering. Are you ready to stop being a prisoner of your own unexamined mind? Are you ready to see these invisible chains for what they are? Because once you see them, once you identify the destructive standards that have been limiting your potential, then, and only then, can you begin the radical process of rewriting your entire destiny. This is just the beginning of the secret. In the next part, we're going to dive even deeper into how these standards were formed and, more importantly, how you can begin to expose them, to truly understand the blueprint of your suffering, so you can finally tear it down. The revolution begins now. You're still here. Good. That means you're not content to live in the shadows of someone else's design. In part 1, I laid bare the terrifying truth: your suffering isn't some cosmic accident. It's the direct, agonizing result of the invisible, unconscious standards you've adopted, an insidious operating system running your life on default. But that was just the beginning. Now, we're going to unmask the architect of your prison. We're going to expose how these chains were forged, how these destructive standards were installed in your mind, often without your consent, and certainly without your conscious awareness. This is where the shocking secret truly begins to unravel. Think back, way back, to your earliest memories. When you were a child, your mind was an open book, a blank slate, absorbing everything. You didn't have filters. You didn't have fully developed critical thinking. You were a sponge, soaking up every belief, every rule, every judgment from the giants in your world, your parents, your teachers, older siblings, even the characters on TV. They were your first programmers. Every "you're not good enough," every "money doesn't grow on trees," every "be careful, don't take risks," every "girls don't do that," or "boys don't cry," these weren't just casual remarks. These were software installations. These were the foundational codes for your standards. If your parents constantly worried about money, what standard do you think you internalized about financial abundance? Probably one of scarcity and anxiety. If they frequently argued, what standard did you develop about intimate relationships? Likely one of conflict and distrust. If you were constantly told to be realistic, what standard did you set for your dreams and ambitions? A standard of mediocrity, perhaps, or limited possibility. This isn't about blaming your parents. They did the best they could with the programming they received. But it's crucial to understand, you are living by someone else's rules. Your default settings were established by a collection of well-meaning, often flawed, human beings who imprinted their fears, their limitations, and their own unconscious standards directly onto your malleable young mind. This is the tragic legacy of unexamined lives passed down through generations, but it doesn't stop there. Beyond your immediate family, society stepped in. Media, advertising, educational systems, peer groups, they all started layering on their own programming. You need this car to be successful. You need that body to be attractive. You need this degree to be smart. You need to follow this path to be happy. These aren't just suggestions, they become the collective standards of the masses, the insidious trap of normalcy. And if your internal standard doesn't align with these external pressures, the pain intensifies, creating inner conflict and suffering. This brings us to a critical understanding of human behavior, the pain-pleasure principle. Every single thing you do, or don't do, is ultimately driven by your subconscious seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Your brain, in its infinite wisdom, and sometimes misguided programming, constantly evaluates every situation based on these two forces. And here's the kicker, your standards dictate what your brain perceives as pleasurable or painful. If your unconscious standard for success is to avoid failure at all costs, then the pain of potential failure will always outweigh the pleasure of pursuing a bold dream. If your standard for love is to avoid rejection, then the pain of vulnerability will always keep you from forging truly deep connections. Your standards are the filters through which your brain processes reality, determining what it values and what it fears. This is why you sometimes find yourself repeating destructive patterns, even when you know better. Your subconscious brain is simply following its programmed standards to avoid a perceived pain or gain a perceived pleasure, even if that pleasure is merely the comfort of the familiar. And speaking of familiar, let's talk about your comfort zone. For most people, the comfort zone isn't a place of ultimate joy or fulfillment. It's a standard of acceptable mediocrity. It's the rigid standard your brain sets to ensure survival, to avoid the pain of uncertainty, failure, or criticism. This zone, for many, is actually a zone of tolerable suffering. You tolerate a job you hate, a relationship that drains you, a body that doesn't feel vibrant, because the pain of staying is perceived as less than the pain of the unknown, the pain of stepping outside your programmed standard. This is the ultimate trap. Your brain, following its ancient programming, would rather you suffer predictably than embrace the glorious, terrifying uncertainty of true growth. The cost of these unexamined standards is astronomically high. It's the crushing weight of unlived dreams, the passions you silenced, the businesses you never started, the adventures you never embarked on, unfulfilled potential, the genius inside you that never saw the light of day because your standards told you it was too risky, too hard, or not for someone like you. Mediocre relationships, the superficial connections, the lack of true intimacy, because your standards dictate how much love you can receive or how much vulnerability you dare to show. Financial scarcity, the constant struggle, the feeling of never having enough, because your standards were programmed for limitation rather than abundance. Chronic anxiety and resentment, the inner turmoil of knowing you're capable of more, but feeling powerless to break free, leading to a silent rage against your own limitations. This isn't just theoretical. Look around you. The vast majority of people are living lives of quiet desperation, precisely because they are prisoners of their own unexamined standards. They accept the average because their programming tells them it's the safe standard. They tolerate less than they deserve because their internal ruler of worth is set to low. But here's the crucial turning point, the first glimmer of light in the darkness. You can begin to identify these standards. You can start to observe the invisible rules that have governed your life. This isn't about judgment, it's about pure, unadulterated awareness. Ask yourself these uncomfortable, yet liberating, questions. What have I been tolerating in my life? In my relationships? In my job? In my health? What level of disrespect, boredom, or pain have I accepted as normal? Whatever you tolerate, that is your current standard. What do I secretly believe I deserve? Not what you want to believe, but what that deep, subconscious voice actually whispers. What are my absolute minimums for different areas of my life? Do I have minimum standards for my financial security, my emotional well-being, my physical health? Or do I just accept whatever comes my way? Where do I consistently self-sabotage? Identify the patterns where you reach a certain level of success or happiness, then pull back. That pulling back is your current standard kicking in. This journey of identification is the beginning of your liberation. It's uncomfortable, yes, because you're confronting the very programming that has kept you safe in your suffering. But understand this, you cannot change what you don't acknowledge. This is not a passive exercise. This is a radical act of self-discovery. Start a journal. Ask yourself these questions every single day. Observe your reactions, your excuses, your patterns. The more you shine the light of awareness on these hidden standards, the more their power over you diminishes. In the next part, we are going to move beyond mere identification. We are going to explore the explosive power of raising your standards, of actively choosing new, empowering standards, and providing you with the exact tools to not just identify but to shatter those old, limiting programs and install a new operating system designed for absolute victory. Get ready, because the true transformation is just beginning. Excellent. With the origins of their invisible chains exposed, your audience is primed for the next, most crucial step. Now, in part 3, we unleash the full force of the shocking secret and guide them through the radical act of raising their standards, paving the way for immediate, profound change. Part 3, the explosive power of demanding more, raising your standards to unleash your destiny. Music becomes more triumphant and empowering. Speaker's demeanor shifts to one of fierce conviction, radiating power and belief. Alright, warriors of destiny. In part 1, we unveiled the invisible chains of your unconscious standards. In part 2, we ripped back the curtain to reveal how those chains were forged in the crucible of your past, often by forces beyond your control. You now know the terrifying truth: your life will never, ever rise above the standards you've unconsciously set. But knowing is only half the battle. Now, we ignite the revolution. Now, we unleash the shocking secret that truly changes everything: the power of raising your standards. This isn't some fluffy motivational concept. This is a demand, a non-negotiable decree you issue to yourself, to the universe, and to every cell in your body. It's the moment you declare, with every fiber of your being, and no more. I refuse to suffer another day. I refuse to accept mediocrity. I demand more because I am worthy of more. Think of it like this: your current standards are the thermostat setting for your life. If it's set to 70 degrees, tolerable, but not thriving, your internal system will constantly work to maintain that 70 degrees, no matter what external conditions try to push it higher. You might get a brief burst of success, a moment of happiness, but your internal thermostat will kick in, pulling you back to your programmed normal. But what if you could crank up that thermostat to 90 degrees? To absolute peak performance, vibrant health, overflowing abundance, and ecstatic relationships? That's what raising your standards means. It's not just wanting more, it's demanding it as your new baseline. Now, I won't lie to you. This is going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to trigger every fear, every old program, every resistance mechanism your brain has. Because for years, your brain has been programmed for survival, not thriving. It perceives change, even positive change, as a threat. So, when you declare, "I will no longer tolerate debt," or "I will no longer accept disrespect in my relationships," your old internal programming will scream in protest. It will throw excuses at you, conjure up doubts, and remind you of every past failure. This is the pain of growth. But let me tell you, this pain is a sacred pain, a cleansing fire. It is infinitely more bearable than the slow, agonizing, soul-crushing pain of regret, the pain of looking back on a life unlived, a potential unfulfilled, because you were too afraid to raise your standards. So, how do we begin this radical reprogramming? This is where the rubber meets the road. This is the immediate action you must take to shatter the old and build the new. Step 1. Create your unacceptable list. This is not a wish list. This is your non-negotiable declaration of what you absolutely, unequivocally, and permanently refuse to tolerate in your life any longer. Grab a pen and paper. Seriously, do it right now. This is a life or death decision for your future. Finances. I will no longer tolerate being in debt. I will no longer tolerate living paycheck to paycheck. I will no longer accept financial anxiety as my normal. Relationships. I will no longer tolerate disrespect. I will no longer accept a partner who doesn't prioritize our connection. I will no longer tolerate being undervalued by friends or family. Health and energy. I will no longer tolerate feeling exhausted and lethargic. I will no longer accept poor eating habits. I will no longer tolerate neglecting my body and mind. Career/mission. I will no longer tolerate doing work that drains my soul. I will no longer accept being underpaid for my true value. I will no longer tolerate procrastination on my biggest dreams. Self-worth. I will no longer tolerate self-doubt and negative self-talk. I will no longer accept feeling unworthy of love and success. Your unacceptable list must be written with fire in your belly. This is not a suggestion, it's a commandment. Once you write it down, it's a solemn vow to yourself. You are telling your subconscious mind, this is the line in the sand. I will not cross back over it. This is no longer an option. This dramatic act of setting a hard boundary sends a shockwave through your entire being, forcing your internal operating system to seek new solutions, new behaviors, because the old ones are now, unequivocally, unacceptable. Let me show you the raw, undeniable power of this through real-life transformations that defied all odds. Case study: Maria's financial revolution, from debt slave to wealth magnet. Maria was buried in debt. Credit cards maxed out, student loans crippling her, constant financial anxiety. She accepted it as just the way it was. Her standard was, I am always struggling with money. She'd try to budget, but something always derailed her. One day, at rock bottom, she made a fierce declaration: I will no longer tolerate debt. Period. Debt is no longer an option for my life. It wasn't a wish, it was a demand. Her brain, for the first time, was forced to find a new way. She started aggressively paying down debt, not just with money, but with a new mindset. She sought out new income streams, learned to invest, and became obsessive about financial literacy. Within 2 years, Maria was debt-free, and within 5, she had built a thriving investment portfolio, living a life of financial freedom she once thought impossible. Her shift in standard forced her to become a different person, a person capable of achieving that higher standard. Case study: David's relationship reckoning. From lonely tolerance to ecstatic love. David was a good guy, but he constantly found himself in toxic relationships. He accepted partners who were emotionally unavailable, who played games, who disrespected him. His standard for love was better than nothing, and I'll take whatever crumbs I can get. He felt like a victim of bad luck. But after hitting rock bottom, he declared, I will no longer tolerate disrespect or emotional unavailability in any relationship. My standard for a partner is unconditional love, mutual respect, and authentic connection. He then, for the first time, began to demand that from himself, setting clear boundaries and walking away from anyone who didn't meet that standard. It was painful at first. He spent time alone. But his new standard forced him to grow, to become the partner he desired. Within a year, he met Sarah, a woman who mirrored his new, high standard, and they built a relationship of profound love and respect. His shift from tolerance to demand transformed his entire relational universe. Case study: Emily's vitality awakening. From chronic fatigue to unstoppable energy. Emily spent years plagued by chronic fatigue, brain fog, and mysterious aches. She'd tried diets, doctors, supplements, but always reverted to feeling drained. Her standard was, I guess this is just how my body is. Until she made a radical choice: I will no longer tolerate feeling anything less than vibrantly energetic and healthy. This body is my temple, and my standard is optimal vitality. She began to obsessively research nutrition, movement, sleep, and mindfulness, not as a temporary fix, but as a non-negotiable lifestyle. She cut out foods that drained her, committed to daily exercise, prioritized sleep like her life depended on it. Within months, her energy skyrocketed, her brain fog lifted, and she felt stronger and more alive than ever before. Her unshakable standard for health forced her to implement new habits that sustained her vitality. These aren't anomalies. This is the unseen mechanism behind every true breakthrough. When you raise your standards, when you make something unacceptable, your subconscious mind, that powerful internal engine, starts to work for you. It begins to find solutions, to create new pathways, to attract the resources and opportunities that align with your new, higher demands. It's like your internal GPS suddenly has a new, higher destination programmed into it, and it will reroute everything to get you there. This is the distinction between a wish and a demand. A wish is passive, hoping for something to happen. A demand is an active, unwavering commitment that compels action. When you demand a higher standard, your belief system must follow. Your brain, which is wired for survival, will begin to believe what you continually demand as your new reality. It's a fundamental principle of human psychology and success. So, your next immediate step, create your new non-negotiables for every area of your life. What is the absolute minimum you will accept for your income from this day forward? What is the minimum level of respect and love you will accept in your relationships? What is the minimum level of energy and vitality you will accept in your body? What is the minimum amount of time you will dedicate to your personal growth each day? Write these down. Post them where you can see them. Read them aloud every morning. These aren't aspirations. These are your new operating system commands. This is you, the true architect, reprogramming your destiny. This is the true shocking secret. The power was always within you, but it was dormant, waiting for you to awaken it by simply demanding more from yourself and from life. In the next part, we'll dive even deeper, revealing the exact, step-by-step strategies to consistently maintain these new standards, to crush resistance, and to accelerate your journey to ultimate freedom. Get ready to claim your power. Alright, the stage is set. Part 3 showed them the power of raising standards. Now, in Part 4, we tackle the most critical challenge, sustaining that new, exhilarating level, crushing the old patterns, and locking in permanent transformation. This is where the rubber meets the road, where the shocking secret becomes their daily weapon for victory. Part 4, Unstoppable Momentum, Crushing Resistance and Locking in Your New Standards. Music becomes more driving, almost like a rallying cry. Speaker's presence is commanding, an unwavering general leading a charge. You've done it. You've faced the uncomfortable truth of your old, limiting standards. You've unleashed the raw, explosive power of demanding more, of creating your unacceptable list, your new non-negotiables. That fire in your belly, that surge of determination, that's the first taste of true freedom. But now, we must address the ultimate battle. Because here's another part of the shocking secret that most gurus conveniently ignore. Your old programming will fight back. Oh, yes. Your subconscious mind, that intricate network of ingrained habits and comfortable suffering, will not surrender easily. It will launch a full-scale assault. It will whisper doubts in your ear. Who are you to demand this much? You always fail anyway. This is too hard. It will conjure up old temptations, pull you back to familiar patterns, and try to drag you down to the level of your old, miserable standards. This isn't just resistance, this is the sabotage mechanism kicking in. This is the test. This is the crucible of commitment where true champions are forged. But here's the game changer, you now have the knowledge. You know these attacks are just your old programming fighting for its life. And I'm about to give you the unbreakable strategies to not just withstand these assaults, but to utterly dominate them, to permanently install your new, empowering standards, and to forge an unstoppable momentum that will catapult you into your ultimate destiny. This is how you lock in lasting change. Strategy 1. The ironclad power of micro-rituals and non-negotiable habits. Your standards are not just thoughts, they are embodied through your consistent actions. To lock in a new standard, you must hardwire it with new habits. And here's the trick, start small, but make it non-negotiable. If your new standard is, I demand vibrant health, don't try to run a marathon tomorrow. Start with 5 minutes of intense stretching every morning. Make it a sacred ritual you absolutely will not miss, no matter what. If your new standard is, I demand financial abundance, don't try to make $1 million overnight. Commit to reviewing your finances for 10 minutes every single day, or saving $5 a day, or making one new connection for your business. The power isn't in the size of the action, it's in the consistency and the unwavering commitment to it. When your old program tries to pull you back, when you don't feel like it, that's your moment to shine. That's when you declare, my new standard is non-negotiable. I will do this 5 minutes, even if I crawl. Because every single time you honor that small, non-negotiable action, you are engraving your new standard deeper into your subconscious, brick by powerful brick. This is how champions are built, one non-negotiable micro-action at a time. The consistent, small victory reinforces the new standard far more effectively than an occasional grand gesture. Case study, Leo's learning leap. From procrastinator to master, Leo always wanted to learn new languages and skills, but his standard was, I'll get to it eventually. He'd buy courses, start them, and then drop off. His brain loved the idea of learning, but abhorred the discipline. One day, he made continuous learning and mastery his new non-negotiable standard. He committed to just 15 minutes of language learning every single morning, before anything else. No excuses. On days he felt tired, he'd just open the app for 5 minutes. Within months, he was fluently conversing in Spanish. He then applied the same micro-ritual strategy to coding, then to playing an instrument. Today, Leo is a polyglot and a highly skilled software developer, not because he's a genius, but because he built an unbreakable standard of consistent, micro-learning rituals that outsmarted his old procrastinating program. Strategy 2, Environmental Engineering. The no-tolerance zone for negativity. Your environment is either your greatest ally or your most insidious enemy. If you're trying to install a new operating system, you can't have old, corrupt files constantly infecting your hard drive. You must become a master architect of your surroundings. People, who are you spending time with? Do they uplift your new standards or drag you back to the old ones? Are they energy vampires who feed on your doubt and fear? This isn't about being selfish. It's about sacred self-preservation. Ruthlessly evaluate your inner circle. Elevate your standards for the quality of connection you allow in your life. If someone consistently pulls you down, it's not just their problem, it's a direct threat to your new standards. Limit exposure. Set boundaries. Sometimes, you must make a radical choice for your own growth. Information. What are you feeding your mind? Constant news cycles of fear? Mindless scrolling through social media comparison traps? Gossip? Your mind is a garden, and what you plant there will grow. If your standard is, I live a life of inspiration and abundance, then you must consume information that supports that. Curate an information diet. Listen to empowering podcasts, read transformative books, watch uplifting content. Starve your fears and feed your future. Physical space. Your home, your workspace. Are they chaotic, draining, or inspiring? Clutter breeds mental clutter. A disorganized space mirrors a disorganized mind. Elevate your standard for your physical environment. Make it a sanctuary that supports your highest self. Tidy, declutter, organize. Every act of creating order externally reinforces your internal demand for order and excellence. Case study, Sarah's social detox. From victim to victor, Sarah was stuck in a victim mentality, constantly complaining about her job, her relationships, her finances. Her standard was, life happens to me. She surrounded herself with friends who commiserated, who validated her complaints, effectively reinforcing her low standards. When she made the fierce demand, I will no longer tolerate being a victim, I am the creator of my destiny, she realized her environment was a major saboteur. She started politely, but firmly, redirecting conversations with her friends. When they resisted, she began spending less time with them and actively sought out new connections, people who were taking action, who were positive, who celebrated progress. She also unsubscribed from negative news feeds and replaced them with inspiring podcasts. Within months, her energy soared, her mindset transformed, and she started attracting opportunities and relationships that reflected her new, high standards. She literally built a new reality by engineering her environment. Strategy 3, the unshakable fuel of why, your burning desire. Knowing what you want to change is powerful, but knowing why you must change is unstoppable. Your why is the ultimate fuel for your relentless pursuit of higher standards. It's the emotional engine that will drag you out of bed on the days you don't feel like it, that will push you through fear, and that will make the pain of staying the same far greater than the pain of growth. Reconnect to the pain of the past, vividly recall the suffering, the frustration, the emptiness of living by your old standards. Feel it deeply. That pain is now your greatest motivator to never go back. Visualize the glory of the future. Close your eyes. See yourself living your new standards. Feel the freedom, the joy, the abundance, the love. Make it so real that it feels like you're already there. This creates an irresistible pull, a future vision so compelling that your brain must find a way to get there. Affirmations as anchors. Powerful, emotive affirmations are not just positive thinking, they are declarations of your new standard. I am abundant. I am powerful. I am loved. Speak them with conviction. Feel them in your bones. These are constant reminders to your subconscious of the new operating system. Case study: Michael's impossible comeback, fueled by unwavering why. Michael lost everything: his business, his savings, his health. He hit rock bottom, contemplating giving up. His standards for himself had plummeted to, I'm a failure. But then, he remembered his young children. His why became so profoundly clear: I will not let my children see me give up. I will not tolerate being a broken man. My standard for being a father is to be an example of relentless resilience and triumph. That burning why was his fuel. He started with small, non-negotiable steps. He visualized his children's faces as he worked. He affirmed his strength daily. That why allowed him to endure unimaginable setbacks, to rebuild his life from scratch, and to emerge stronger and more successful than ever before, becoming an undeniable beacon of hope for his family. Strategy 4. The Accountability Accelerator. Leverage external pressure. You don't have to do this alone. In fact, true masters know that leverage is key. Public declaration, strategic: tell a trusted friend, a mentor, or even a small, supportive online community about your new, unacceptable list and your new standards. The mere act of stating your commitment publicly creates a powerful external pressure that reinforces your internal resolve. Accountability partner/coach. Find someone who is also committed to growth, or even better, a mentor or coach who has already achieved what you desire. Regularly check in with them. Share your struggles, your wins, your challenges. Knowing someone is expecting you to show up, to honor your new standards, is a phenomenal motivator. They become an external thermostat, ensuring you don't drop back to your old normal. Self-accountability and tracking. Keep a journal of your progress. Track your micro-rituals. Celebrate every small win, every time you choose your new standard over the old temptation. See the evidence of your transformation. This builds undeniable proof for your subconscious that the new standards are working. These 4 strategies are not just tools, they are the blueprint for domination. They are the methods employed by every single person who has ever shattered their limits and achieved the impossible. This is not optional. This is mandatory if you are truly serious about ending your suffering and claiming the magnificent life that is waiting for you. You have the power. You now have the strategies. You have the knowledge to outsmart your old programming. This is the moment you stop being a victim of your past and become the undisputed architect of your destiny. In the final, most crucial part, we will solidify your commitment, prepare you for the ultimate breakthrough, and ensure you become a master of your own standards, forever free from the shackles of suffering. Get ready for the final, empowering leap. Okay, with part 4 providing the strategies for an unstoppable momentum, let's craft part 5. This section will synthesize everything, painting a vivid picture of the transformed life, inspiring them to commit fully, and setting the stage for your powerful conclusion. This is about unleashing their absolute potential and the ultimate freedom. Part 5. The masterpiece of your life, unleashing your unstoppable, standard-driven destiny. Music becomes majestic and soaring, evoking a sense of ultimate triumph and profound liberation. Speaker radiates an almost spiritual confidence, deeply passionate and visionary. You've journeyed through the darkness of unconscious limitation. You've faced the uncomfortable truth of your old standards. You've ignited the fire of demanding more, of creating your unacceptable list. your new non-negotiables. And you've armed yourself with the ultimate strategies to crush resistance and lock in your new, empowering standards. What we've just revealed isn't just a collection of tactics, it's the complete, holistic blueprint for absolute liberation. It's the shocking secret to ending suffering and unleashing the magnificent, powerful being you were always meant to be. But what does this truly mean for your life? What does it look like when you fully embody these elevated standards, when you are no longer a prisoner of your past programming but the undisputed master of your own destiny? Imagine this. You wake up each morning, not with a sense of dread, but with unbridled excitement. Your energy levels are off the charts, fueled by the non-negotiable standard of vibrant health you've set for yourself. You engage in your morning rituals, those micro-actions that reinforce your power, and you feel an inner peace, a calm certainty that was once alien to you. Your relationships? They are no longer sources of anxiety or disappointment. Because you've set a new standard for respect, authenticity, and love, you either attract partners and friends who meet that standard, or you gracefully release those who don't. Your connections become deep, meaningful, and genuinely uplifting. You're not just loved, you're revered, because you first revered yourself by demanding the highest standard of interaction, your financial reality. The days of scarcity, anxiety, and living paycheck to paycheck are a distant, forgotten nightmare. Your standard for abundance has rewired your brain to identify opportunities, attract resources, and manage wealth with a wisdom you never knew you possessed. You move from merely earning money to creating genuine value, effortlessly. You are no longer chasing, you are attracting, because your financial standard is now one of unwavering prosperity. Your career, your mission, your purpose, they align perfectly with your highest values. You no longer tolerate unfulfilling work. You demand to be challenged, to grow, to contribute in a meaningful way. You are not just making a living, you are living your legacy, fueled by a standard of excellence and contribution that propels you to new heights of impact and fulfillment. This isn't a fantasy. This is the unleashed self. This is the life that becomes your reality when you commit, with every fiber of your being, to living by a higher standard. It's the life where you become the unstoppable force of nature you were destined to be, where suffering is merely a distant echo, replaced by a symphony of joy, purpose, and limitless possibility. And here's another profound truth: this transformation isn't just about you. It creates an explosive ripple effect that impacts everyone around you. When you raise your standards, you involuntarily inspire others to raise theirs. You become a beacon of possibility. Your family members witness your transformation and are compelled to reevaluate their own lives. Your friends see your breakthroughs and are motivated to seek more for themselves. You become a force for positive change in your community, not by preaching, but by living as an example. You are not just ending your suffering, you are contributing to the eradication of suffering in the lives you touch, one transformed standard at a time. This is not just a personal journey, it is a moral imperative to unleash your full potential and uplift humanity. Now, you might be asking, how long does this take? Will I ever truly be free of all suffering? Let me be brutally honest, this is not a one-time event. This is a lifestyle. It's a relentless, exhilarating, ongoing journey of self-mastery. There will be moments where your old programming tries to sneak back in, where doubts whisper, where the path feels challenging. But this is where your commitment, your why, and your strategies for maintaining standards become your impenetrable shield. You must embrace the mindset of the forever student. Life is dynamic, you are constantly evolving. What was a high standard for you last year might be your new baseline today. You will continually assess, continually raise the bar, continually seek to expand what you believe is possible for yourself. This is the joy of limitless growth, the ultimate freedom that comes from being the conscious architect of your evolving destiny. Every setback is just feedback, a chance to refine your standards even further. Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. The ultimate freedom, the true shocking secret at the heart of this entire journey, is simply this: you have the power to choose your standards. You are not a victim of circumstance, not a product of your past, and certainly not confined by anyone else's limitations. You are the conscious creator of your reality, and your standards are the master controls. This is the ultimate mastery, the ability to consciously select the rules by which you live, and therefore, to consciously create the life you desire. You are liberated from the default, unleashed to define your own magnificent existence. Consider the story of Elena. Elena grew up in a small, impoverished village, surrounded by a pervasive standard of scarcity and limited opportunity. She was told to be realistic, to aim for a safe life. Her family and friends saw hard work as just enough to survive. Her standards for herself were incredibly low, just like everyone around her. But one day, she witnessed an act of extraordinary generosity from a stranger, and something inside her snapped. She refused to accept scarcity as her standard any longer. She declared, "My standard is not just abundance for myself, but to be a conduit for abundance for my entire community." She didn't know how, but her new, unshakable standard forced her to find ways. She started small, volunteering, organizing community initiatives. She sought mentors, voraciously consumed knowledge, and tirelessly worked to acquire new skills. She faced ridicule, doubt, and immense setbacks. Her old programming screamed, "Go back, this is too much." But her new standard was ironclad. She applied every strategy we've discussed, daily micro-rituals of learning and action, ruthlessly curating her circle to include only those who uplifted her, constantly connecting to her burning why, the vision of a thriving community. She held herself accountable to an almost impossible degree. Today, Elena is a globally recognized social entrepreneur. She built sustainable enterprises in her village, lifting countless families out of poverty. She created educational programs that empowered generations. She lives a life of profound purpose, financial freedom, and overflowing joy. She didn't just change her life, she transformed an entire ecosystem, all because she dared to look at the invisible chains of her default standards and declare, with every fiber of her being, "No more. My standard is higher, my purpose is greater, and my impact will be limitless." That same power, that same unshakable resolve, that same capacity for transformation, lives within you. You have the choice. You have the secret. You have the blueprint. The chains of suffering are not shackles unless you allow them to be. The moment you choose to raise your standards, the moment you decide that your suffering is no longer acceptable, is the moment your life begins to change, not gradually, but explosively. This is your birthright. This is your power. And this is your time. Are you ready to truly claim it? Are you ready to step into the masterpiece of a life that awaits you? The ultimate, final step to solidify this transformation is coming next. Prepare yourself, because your absolute victory is now within reach. You've witnessed it. You've journeyed through the depths of unconscious suffering, identified the invisible chains of your old standards, and discovered the raw, explosive power of demanding more. You've armed yourself with the strategies to crush resistance and sustain your new, extraordinary life. The shocking secret is no longer a secret, it is now your ultimate truth. It's the undeniable fact that your life will never rise above the standards you tolerate, but now, with this truth revealed, you have a choice. Will you revert to the comfort of your old suffering, or will you seize this moment, right now, to permanently end it and step into the magnificent destiny you were always meant to claim? The power was never outside you, it was always within, waiting for you to unleash it by raising your standards and refusing to settle for anything less than your absolute potential. Your suffering ends when you decide it ends. Your transformation begins the moment you declare, with every fiber of your being, "No more." Take this truth, apply these strategies, and watch as your entire world bends to the will of your new, unshakable standards. Your time is now. Go forth and be free.